Welcome to Grounded Engagement, Liberating Leadership. I'm Kristina Katayama, and today's guest is a living example of what this podcast is all about. Raymie Fernandez, Chief Operating Officer of Dream Charter Schools in New York City. He didn't learn leadership from a curriculum. He learned it by living it. He didn't leave Harlem behind. He leads in Harlem for Harlem, taking the hardest moments of his life and turning them into something beautiful. Today, he is a leader who walks toward conflict instead of away from it, who feeds his community literally and figuratively, who shows up every day as proof of what's possible for the 2,600 young people at Dream who are the next generation of this story. Raymie, welcome to Grounded Engagement.
Thank you, Kristina. It's a pleasure to join and share the space with you today.
So when we talked earlier, you described the Scratch Kitchen program at Dream as your baby. Take me inside of that. What is it about that particular work that stayed alive in you?
Yeah, well, I've been blessed with the opportunity to be part of a tremendous community and organization at Dream Charter School that's been around for over 30 years. And our school was first launched in 2008. And we did school food, how traditional schools in New York City typically did. We outsourced to third-party vendors. And what we found as we head into the 2020-2021 period was that there were two main problems. Our kids weren't eating, and our families were pretty dissatisfied. And this was something that as I joined the organization as a new team member, I took a specific responsibility alongside the organization. And I think for me, growing up in New York City and Harlem, in a low-income household, in a family that was food insecure, I knew firsthand, with not having a proper school food and nutrition program, the impact that can have. I myself, growing up as a young person in New York City, relied on that food. If there was a meal at school that I didn't like, I had one or two choices. Either suck it up and eat it, or not eat for that day or for that meal. And that's the choices that many of our young people face in New York City. And the communities that we serve in particular, 1 in 4 families are food insecure. So we had to reimagine, and we embarked on reimagining what school food can be. So in 2023, we made the decision to bring school food in-house, launching our first ever Scratch Food program alongside an organization called Brigade that specializes in putting chefs into public institutions, in particular schools. And what that allowed us to do was allowed us to not only reimagine what school food could and should be, but allowed us to create a program that was deserving of our community, and a program that tackled two main challenges. First and foremost, increasing access to healthy foods that were quality meals, but also nourishing and delicious meals. And then two is providing foods that were healthier for our young people in our communities so that they can have stronger outcomes and live healthier lives. We've been blessed, since day one to, achieve some pretty remarkable accomplishments from increasing participation in our breakfast, lunch, and snack program, anywhere between 30 to 40%, to giving our young people new opportunities, whether it's our culinary club, being able to showcase their skills at our annual gala, whether it's them coming up with a brand new dish on our menu that they got to cook and serve to our high school students and to their peers, or whether it's opportunities to be able to showcase on Bon Appetit's On the Line series what our food program looks like day to day, or whether it's on a CNN Samsung commercial, showcase what our food program is all about. It's provided not only access to healthy, delicious foods that has driven participation, but also great experiences that has allowed them to see the impact of food, not only in helping us live healthy lives, but also helping build community and bring people together.
Thank you so much for sharing that story. So speaking about leadership, when we talked earlier, you were telling me about how you were shaped by two very different leaders. your grandmother, fierce at 4'10", and your coach, Mr. Casada. Am I pronouncing that name right?
Yep.
Okay, great. Mr. Casada showed up quietly, consistently, and when it mattered most. What did each one of them teach you about leadership?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I smile inside when you describe my grandmother, because what she didn't have in height, she had in fierce and strong attitude, and conviction. I think first and foremost, what they taught me is that leadership saves lives. As a young person growing up in Harlem, I grew up in trauma and challenges. We were low income. Oftentimes, our day to day looked like trying to figure out whether we were going to have a roof on our head or we were going to have enough to eat day to day. And the community that we were situated with, we faced a lot of challenges and a lot of disinvestment. And what we were seeing around us and the environment and what society was telling us was that we had a ceiling, and that as people of color in our community, we had a predestined future for what we needed to be, what we could achieve, and what we couldn't achieve. And I took that to heart along with my siblings. I've lost family members to gun violence, my mother to drug addiction, and mental health illness. Um, and it took me almost losing my life, inches away from a bullet, um, for people to step up and show me a different way and a different path. Mr. Casada taught me that you control your future and you control your destiny. I remember the moments when, I lost a loved one to gun violence, and the pushes that he gave me. And, those instances where it could have been easy for him to lower expectations for me, for him to give up on me, for him to just chalk me up to being another statistics. And instead, he brought me in closer. He nurtured me, but he gave me clear direction. And by that direction, he not only set higher and higher expectations for myself, but provided the necessary support along the way for me to meet those expectations.
And Raymie, before we jump over, can you tell us about a key moment?
Yeah, I think with Mr. Casada, a key moment that really was a turning point in my life, in a moment where I attribute not only why I chose education as my path, but also why I was able to turn my life around, was the moment the day after I lost, my older brother to gun violence. Again, I was inches away from catching a bullet, and I was a baseball player in high school, and Mr. Casada was both my coach as well as my history teacher. And I remember going into school that next day because I had no other option. So the only place that I had some sort of structure and stability. And I remember having a horrible, horrible practice that day. And I was an angry kid. I had just witnessed the murder of a loved one. I was poor. I was struggling. My mom was struggling. My siblings were struggling. And I was lashing out. And I had a pretty poor practice, from having trouble catching a ball to throwing a ball to hitting a ball. I started cursing at my friends and my teammates. I started not taking direction from Mr. Casada, yelling at him. So he kicked me out of practice. And I remember that moment where he sent me to the locker to pack my things up. And I remember that moment of just silence and quiet, and me questioning myself and doubting myself, and just coming to the realization that for people who look like me, for people who come from where I come from, this is just reality, and this is what life is meant to be. I remember that in an instance where it could have been easy for him to move on to the next one, find a different player that was less of a headache, less trouble, spend his time focusing on the players who were there to listen and do what they needed to do. He spent his time and walked into that locker room before I left. I remember the words he told me of, he pushed me because he expects better from me, and he knows that I can do better. And that him kicking me out of practice was by no means him saying goodbye or him just doing away with me, but rather sending a message that I'm in control of my actions, and then I need to be able to be responsible for my actions and the consequences or rewards that come with that, and that it was his responsibility to help me see the impact that my actions can have. And from that day forward, it really reframed how I looked at life, from seeing life as a fixed outcome to spending the bulk of my time focusing on things I can't control, to placing a more precise and disciplined focus on what matters the most, which is what I did and the choices that I made. So I locked in, started doing better in school, started taking my academics serious, started to practice more in hopes of leveraging baseball as a mechanism to get a better future for myself. And he was there for the whole ride, from driving me to school in moments where I didn't have transportation, to helping me find food when I didn't have food to eat, to asking the lunch ladies to keep extras behind so that I can take home, to providing a classroom or just a practice space for me to stay after school so that I didn't have to go back out into the streets. But he taught me that first and foremost, that as an educator, when you lead with love, when you lead with care, and when you lead with both transparency and action, then that sends a message to young people, what they're deserving of, but it sends them a message of that they're not in this alone, and gives them the hope and wherewithal to continue to fight and continue to battle for one more for themselves, their families, and their communities.
Thank you. Wow. One more question about that. What did Mr. Casada see in you that you couldn't see in yourself yet?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, it took me a while to try to figure out what he saw, because I mean, I was like, I used to ponder, I'm like, I'm just this kid from Harlem. I talk a certain way, I look a certain way. I didn't feel I was the smartest, didn't feel I was the most talented. But he saw, and this was something that really comes back to my grandmother as well. He saw my trials and the trauma I faced as my testimony. And my grandma used to always preach. She's like, listen, you got one or two choices. You can either sit there and soak in how hard life is, or you can do something about it. Those moments where you didn't know if you were going to have food to eat or not, and you found a way to survive, that taught you a lesson. Those moments where you didn't have a way to get to school, but you figured out and you walked yourself across a highway to school so that you ain't miss school, that taught you a lesson. And that built a different level of perseverance and persistence that not many people can have. And that's power. And not only him, but my grandmother being able to see that in me and being able to raise my awareness to see that, and that actually life is challenging, but actually in those challenges, there's lessons that you can take to not only fortify your value set, but also strengthen the person that you are, and leverage that to become the person that you want to be. And they saw that in me. They saw that, despite the challenges, there was a diamond in the rough there, that all it needed is someone to love, care, and invest in them to be able to, make it on the other side. And I was thankfully blessed enough to do that with their support.
Great, thank you. And I jumped in there, so I wanted to also make space for you to share a little bit about what you learned about leadership from your grandmother.
Yeah, I mean, I think I alluded to it, but I think the first and foremost, the biggest thing is life is about choices. And if you make the decision to control your controllables, which is what she used to always call it, make the decision to control your controllables and focus on what you do or don't do, what you say or don't say, and how you behave, then that gives you control over the outcome and the life that you want to be. And I've been through my fair share. I've been homeless. I've been food insecure. I described the losses I've experienced. But through it all, what got me through it was those lessons and constant reminder from my grandmother of where there's a will, there's a way. So if you don't have a place to live, figure out what you're going to do to get to the next day. And then just taking life in the present, one problem at a time, one foot in front of the other, one step at a time, and know that every storm passes, but it's a matter of focusing on what you can control, or you can control what you can do. And ultimately, so long as you live your life with humility, you live your life with ambition, um, and you live your life always looking to serve and care for others and put love out in the world, then you're gonna be all right. We're gonna be all right. And that's what she told me. She told me, one's legacy is not about yourself. Ultimately, at the end of the day, when our time comes, people 10, 20, 30 years from now may not remember who you are, likely may not even remember your name. But what they will remember are those moments in time for how you made them feel, the impact that you had. And similar to what she had and Mr. Quesada had on me, I will forever hold that. My kids will hold that because I'm able to impart that in them. But just being able to control what you can control, and always know that every problem has a solution, so long as you take action and make a choice to do something about it.
Thank you. Control your controllables. I like it. And you also mentioned a phrase that she taught you, your trials are your testimony. Is there a specific moment when you felt that most? When you learned how to take something that was happening to you and turn it into something valuable that you could use?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, so much in education, right? And I think I come from experience not only being able to serve the community that I grew up in, but also as a Latinx man growing up, knowing the challenges of different dynamics I had to navigate and learn how to navigate, and be in spaces that wasn't really built for me, or catered to me, and have it and learn on the fly of like, how do I make the right decision, or what is the right decision? And I think there were moments early on in my career where I didn't necessarily know what my identity as a leader was. And I would often feel that tension of how do I stay true to myself, the person I am, what I came up in, and my experiences, while at the same time positioning myself that caters and is appealing to the environments that I am currently in. And I think one thing that really strung true and helped me be the leader that I am today, and a leader that I'm proud to be, and I think my grandmother, Mrs. Quesada, would be proud to be, is that I got to a place where I wasn't really going to hide who I was, both as a Latino man, Latinx man, who talks real Harlem, as I say, who still has, wears braids time to time, has a ponytail, has a full beard, has a bunch of tattoos. And society would lead you to believe that a person who talks like me, comes from where I come from, isn't the mold or profile of leader that you would typically see in a C-suite or in a chief operating officer role. And that, if anything, invigorated me and motivated me to be myself even more. Because ultimately, there is no their prototype for what a leader is. And there's 1 million ways for one to be a leader. And I think it's one authenticity that really brings power. And my grandmother told me, never hide who you are, never hide your experiences, never be ashamed of who you are. And yes, I've been through my fair share of challenges, but each challenge has shaped me to be the man, the person, the father, the husband, the educator that I am today. And there's power in that, and I wear that both with pride, because I know everything happens for a reason, and every step along the way, good or bad, has been a lesson that has helped me be able to be who I am today and be able to contribute to the world in the way that Mr. Quesada did for me, my grandmother did for me, and I hope to do for others.
Mm-hmm. So there's a couple of places that I'm thinking about right now. One is, if there's a story top of mind that in which you really learned to navigate that tension about being authentically you, right? In an environment that may not recognize or see or expect you to be in the seat that you are?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think there's been many along my experience and my journey as a leader. I think one that stands out a lot is early on in my leadership, and the bulk of my experience is in operations, but I was blessed enough to lead a school as principal, not too far from where I grew up, and that was early on in my leadership. And early on in me trying to find my authentic voice, my authentic style. And it was right around the COVID period, right around the Floyd incident. And I remember that my staff came from very varying experience. Some came from the community, some came from similar identities and experiences like me. Others came from totally different backgrounds. And I remember sensing a high sense of discomfort in having conversations related to inequities and social justice. I remember I was at a crossroads. I didn't quite know what to do as a leader. I'm the person responsible for our young people as well as our staff to be able to give them direction and guide the direction. And I remember trying to fight this tension of how do I stay true to my values? How do I stay true to my belief system? How do I stay true to my passion for wanting to drive equity and better futures for our young people and communities, while at the same time not position myself as the angry Latinx man or try to be seen as the leader who's taken side or is biased. And that was a really tough challenge. And I don't quite think that I tackled it in the way that I would today. But I think what that did teach me, and in particular because of the staff that had open, honest conversations with me of, my voice matters, and I should never silence my voice for fear of being misunderstood or misperceived, or for fear of people not liking you. Ultimately, if I anchor myself in what my values are and what my beliefs are, and stay by that, then there's never going to be a wrong choice so long as you lead with the values and what your belief systems are. And those are things that really transformed and helped me kind of unlock a different level of leadership as the years progressed, where I saw conflict as a healthy part of leadership, understanding that the best ideas come from different perspectives. So long as you as a leader are able to create the conditions where people feel safe enough to have those conversations, people feel open and trusting enough to consider and be curious of each other's perspectives and points of views. And ultimately just come to the table to have fruitful conversations that are going to better not only your school, your team, but ultimately better our community and our young people's opportunity at a better future and a better tomorrow.
And so one of the things that I know, both as a listener myself and the listeners of this podcast, is when there's a story that really shares that principle that you're talking about. Can you tell or share a story with us around this philosophy now in regards to responding to conflict and how you do it today as a leader? Because there's so many times that I hear those words too from leaders, right? And it's a whole nother thing when it's right in front of you in the moment.
Yeah, and I would say this is something that there was something our co-CEOs at Dream, Eve Colavito and Rich Berlin, said to me that really was something that really transformed how I viewed conflict as well. And one of the things they noted is in times of conflict, it can be easy to push people out and push people away. Oh, you're on this side, I'm on this side. You go this way, I go that way. You're wrong, I'm right. And one of the things they said is like in moments of conflict or disagreement, that's when you actually need to bring people closer and bring people in versus push people out. And I had never thought of that within my leadership, of seeing conflict as actually an opportunity to connect more and get closer to each other. And I think in particular in today's day and age, that can be a very foreign concept, given how disconnected communities and people can feel. Um, but that really kind of transformed the way I was approaching not only my teams, but also when conflicts arose or came up, how I was viewing how to tackle that conflict. I think there was an instance where two team members that at the time I was supervising and collaborating with similarly had a conflict where they had a disagreement. Something was said that negatively impacted another. And that was an instance where I saw that story time and time again. They, at best, they may have hashed it out. They go separate ways. The trust is eroded. Relationship will never be the same. I think in that instance, being able to bring them in together, set the conditions of understanding that each one of them had a different experience to the interaction. Each one of them had an intent that they were trying to get across, and really giving them the opportunity to not only describe what the intent was, but ultimately what they were trying to accomplish and how they were impacted and what they experienced in the interaction. Allowed them not only to better understand each other, but also realize that they actually wanted the same things. They just weren't communicating effectively and understanding each other. And I think that level of understanding helped them not only strengthen their partnership, but also understand that, hey, actually, this person didn't mean harm or didn't mean ill intent. They meant well. Like ultimately, the impact was not what they wanted it to be, and that's feedback that they gave to each other and that we can improve on. But ultimately, that understanding of grounding themselves in one, we actually want the same thing, but then two, the intent was pure and the intent was good nature, helped them be able to open themselves up to each other, and as a result, strengthen their partnership. And that was something really that I carry with me to this day, of seeing conflict as an opportunity to actually strengthen relationships versus erode relationships. Seeing conflict as an opportunity to come to stronger alignment versus misalignment. And that starts with one, providing the space and opportunity for people to be able to speak their truth, for people to be able to be curious and understand each other's perspectives, and then ultimately come to the table to understand with the understanding of, hey, we're all here in service of our communities and our young people. And if we're in lockstep, they only have a better fighting chance. If we're fighting against each other, then we're actually creating barriers and hurdles that are going to make it even harder for them.
Thank you. I super appreciate that story, and it makes a lot of sense. And now I'm going to up the ante a little bit. What does it look like in practice? And if you have a story, this would be great, when you're the one who's feeling hurt or angry.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've been, and I mean, I count my blessings every day. I'm a lucky man, and I've been lucky enough to be across many mentors who have taught me, have helped me grow. I think one of the things that many of my mentors, including Mr. Quesada, has taught me is the power of emotional intelligence. And I think first and foremost, I remember being early on in my career, that hot-head professional that would just snap and react at the moment of any feelings coming up. I think as I've gotten older and I've grown and I've learned from different mentors, first and foremost, it starts with having a high level of self-awareness. And with that comes having not only deep understanding of the experiences that have shaped me as a leader and as a person, but understanding what comes up for me when certain things happen. For me, understanding that when I'm in certain spaces and I don't feel heard or I feel like I'm being disrespected is actually less about that person or that moment and more about what that brings up for me. That brings up that little Latinx boy in Harlem who was forgotten. That little Latinx boy in high school whose teacher said, hey, you're from the hood, so this is as much as you can do. Or, that Latinx college student trying to get a job who was judged by the way that he looks. Um, and I knew that. And as that awareness, that then provided me the opportunity to then make a plan, understanding that my experiences are valid, but also that I needed to learn how to manage when those things come up so that I can lead in the way that's in line with my values and the leader that I wanted to be. So whether that's taking 24 hours and processing my emotions when things are coming up for me, whether that's being able to create frameworks for myself when I'm trying to communicate my feelings, whether that's, hey, when you took this action, this is the impact that it had on me, so that it allowed me both to express how I felt, but also still assume the best from others. Um, Different things like that have allowed me to be able to manage myself accordingly, but also, most importantly, be able to present and lead in a way that's aligned with my values.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And continuing with what you brought up, so you're a Latinx man from Harlem, leading in Harlem. What does it feel like to be that proof point? And what do you most want the young people who see you to take from that?
Yeah, I mentioned this earlier. I think I do this. I see myself as a servant leader, and that was instilled by me by my grandmother, by my mother, Ms. Gasada. And my grandmother used to always say, like, ultimately, at the end of the day, it's not about what you do, what you achieve. It's about how you make others feel and what you do for others. And as I mentioned earlier, like ultimately, I could care less whether someone remembers my name, someone remembers what role I was in, or what I accomplished. But if I can live my life in a way that helps instill even an ounce of more belief today than someone had yesterday, or give them an ounce of hope today that they didn't have the day before, and or help them see themselves in a more positive light and help see all that they're capable of and their potential, then that's what fills my cup and brings me joy. Because ultimately, inequities have existed for hundreds and hundreds of years, and that may be a challenge that I may not solve in my lifetime. But if I can inspire and help others carry the baton and continue the work to fight for a better tomorrow for our communities, then that's what the game is about. And I mean, as I mentioned earlier, like, for a long time, I was grappling with how am I the Latinx man from Harlem who loves sports, who's a family oriented man, who's an introvert at heart. How do I, show that within my leadership? And as my grandma said, you show that by just being 100% and unapologetically you, no ifs, ands, or buts. And I remember, I think one of the most powerful things that I've experienced throughout my career is being able to walk through the hallways and have a high school student look at me and say, "Hey, you're a chief operating officer. Oh, hey, you're an executive. Oh, that's so cool. Like you look like me. You sound like me. You like the things that I like." And walking away and being able to see just that young person light up and that young person believe in kind of what's possible, just to affirm why I do the work that I do. And like ultimately, it's my job and like commitment to be able to do that for every single young person, every single family, every single staff member that I encounter, is helping them see what they're capable of and helping them see that they're filled with limitless possibilities and limitless potential.
I just celebrate listening to you. Really, Raymie, thank you so much. So you've been telling us a story about how you've grown from a young person being seen by a coach and to a person now being the one who sees others. Where is the growing edge of your leadership right now? The place that you are still becoming?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think one of the things that I always guard against is, and this goes back to my grandmother's lessons, is guarding against performative leadership. And I think one of the things that is always a work in progress is, being able to build relationships um, in a way that's genuinely and authentically and authentic to you. And I think for me, that looks like I build relationships through the work. As I mentioned, I'm an introvert at heart. I'm a family man. I'm a homebody. I don't talk much. I'm a pretty quiet dude. Um, but I build relationships through the work and being able to get in the grind with folks, being able to invest in people, invest in our communities. That's how I build relationships. And especially when I go into newer contexts, that performative leadership always creeps up of, oh, people are going to think I'm quiet. They're going to think I'm closed off. They're not going to want to talk to me. But I think being able to always remind myself of both my why, but then two, my proof point of, I've proven to build relationships, have the ability to build relationships in a way that still preserves my authenticity and my identity. And that's through the work, being able to get down and dirty and do the work and have an impact. And I think that's hard. And that's something that's continuous work and takes daily, constant reminders of always stay true to yourself, never compromise, do it in a way that's under your terms and that's authentic to you.
Mm-hmm. Great. Thank you. Is there anything else that you would like a young person from your community or anyone who's been putting a ceiling on themselves or accepted the ceiling that society's putting on them? Um, Anything
Yeah.
else that you want them to hear right now?
Yeah. I mean, I can put it no better than my abuelita used to say it. She said, Mijo, when you hit a ceiling, break it and build a new one. And that is something that that's how I've lived my life. I try to lead my life with hunger, always looking to push to the next mountain, always looking to find what else I can do to push myself, see how much harder I can push, how much more I can climb. Um, and that's because our futures can be whatever we determine it and decide we want it to be. And that's not going to take away from it being hard or for us to face the challenges. And I know that firsthand as a Latinx man. I know that when I wanted to push hard and I wanted to push up towards certain mountains, I knew that I was going to be 10 steps, sometimes 20 steps or more further back than other people that looked different to me, that had different circumstances, different experiences than me. But grounding myself in what my grandmother always taught me of that should not stop the action that you take. And yeah, it's going to be hard, but guess what? Most things worth doing in life are hard. So as long as you focus on what you're doing and the action that you're taking, then that's what matters most. And at the end of the day, as long as you try your best and you live in a way that is true to you and your values, then that's all that matters. And I want any young person, any family, any staff member out there that's listening to this or that I have, the opportunity to be able to cross paths, to just know that you can be whatever you want to be, and know that you have no ceiling, and you determine what your ceiling is or what you want to achieve. And ultimately, as long as you put in the work, as long as you focus on what you're doing, then anything's possible.
It's reminding me of something that you said in our earlier conversation. Um, was three things that your grandma said, and you brought up the first one just now, hungry. Would you remind us
Yeah.
of those three things that she said? Yeah.
Yeah, I think three values that I was brought up on by my grandmother and my mother that really have anchored myself and anchored my leadership are three key values, which is be humble, be hungry, and be always hustle. And being able to be humble, understanding that it's never about you, it's always about others. be hungry, always understanding, never be complacent or comfortable. Always look to do better and better and better and push yourselves. And always hustle, understanding that the one thing you control is the effort that you put forward. Um, and if you put 100%, then you're giving yourself a fighting chance. And those are the three values that I've always anchored myself in. Try to instill in my kids and my family, and three things that keep me grounded.
Thank you. Awesome. So this is, I want to give you just a moment to reflect on this last question. This is a question that I ask all my guests. And that is, what is a question that I haven't asked you yet that you want to be asked?
Wow, that's a good one. I've never gotten that one. I would ask, given the field and the career I've chosen, so education, and given the challenges both within education but also in the communities that I serve, why have I chosen this path? Especially right. Given the experiences and my upbringing.
Yeah. So given your experiences and your upbringing, the challenges in the community and education, what has had you choose this path? Why?
I think for me is I see myself in every single young person that I am blessed to interact with and serve. I see myself in every single family member and every single staff. And I know what struggle looks like. And I know that I was an exception within my time, within my peer group. And that shouldn't be the case. Because every single person, every single family in our communities is filled with endless potential. And all we need is for someone to invest, believe, and create the conditions for them to grow and thrive. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's much to ask. But I think being able to know what it's like when you don't have those things and how hard life can be, how hard it can be to succeed, is what drives me and puts fire in my belly to be able to do this each and every day. Because I know firsthand what that can be. And I know firsthand what even one person, 1 ounce of support system can do to changing the trajectory of your life. And if I can do that even for one person, one family, then that is something that would anchor everything that my grandmother and my mother raised me to be and raised me to do. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you so much, Raymie.
You're welcome.
From our first conversation, what struck me the most wasn't the title or the work, it was the person. I've really enjoyed talking with you. Humble, hungry, hustle, 3 words that are easy to say and take a lifetime to live. Your life demonstrates taking the hardest moments that were handed to you and choosing to turn them into something beautiful, right? Choose to control the controllables. It's not a curriculum. It's a life. Thank you for bringing it here, for being the kind of proof that the young people at Dream and anyone listening who's ever put a ceiling over themselves didn't know that they were waiting for. And you're showing that all of this is possible. Thank you so much, Raymie.
Thank you for the opportunity, Kristina.